Testing, ladies and gentlemen, testing 1, 2, 3. And it looks like we're going to finally be able to put together the program on Thursday. And usually we actually do the program right on the day because we want it to be about right now. So from time to time we'll record this program a little bit in advance, but generally we try to do what radio is really good at, and that is you don't have to correct the brochure, you don't have to do any mailing, all of that work. You can actually talk to people and actually offer them good things right now. You know, as we say, right in the moment. So that's what we're going to try and do. Thursday is sometimes, remember, we call that Thursday oftentimes is turbulence day. Things kind of, hopefully you get them sorted out and settled out so that you can make Friday more of a thoughtful future day, and of course get ready to change pace and space and perhaps exactly what you want to do. Most of us don't get to do exactly what we want to do at work, but the reason God said take a day off, in fact, he made it a rule, take a day off in which you don't do what you normally have to do. In fact, do a lot of nothing and just simply make it a day of super rest. 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 And that's what we're supposed to do. So today is Thursday. Now, a couple things. There was some turbulence in my life as we are putting together, and this is good turbulence because the What It Takes radio company, we are now putting on a number of new podcasts. People are coming in, and hopefully you'll be one of them. Next week, we're going to be putting together, after a pilot program, on simply called More Power to You, and it's on the power of prayer. Someone said to me, well, I don't ever pray. And I said, oh, yes, you do. You just don't know it. And hopefully we'll be a lot more intentional about it, and we'll do it in the right way, to the right people, for the right people. And so we're going to learn a little bit about that. And that starts, it's going to start not this weekend, but next weekend. And again, like everything else, it's an experiment. We'll see how it goes. But we'll, as we say, we'll put it out there. We'll do a good job as best we can. We'll change and tweak and adjust, but we'll see how it goes and see if it's helpful. Also, we're putting together some more programs dealing with the Western genre, frontier firearms. Hey, and we're going to have a program about Tombstone, Arizona, the famous OK Corral, Tombstone, Arizona. And the next program I'm waiting for is yours. When are you finally going to do what I've been encouraging you to do, is to get a voice and get a platform and share some wisdom, insight, and truth. As you certainly see, you've got a lot more wisdom than a lot of people who are speaking up and running things, so why don't you see if some of your God-given grace and courage and power and wisdom can be shared with others. I'm just going to tell you a little Ukraine story today. Obviously, the war, Russia, Ukraine, very much in the news. Obviously, the bank thing is bubbling up, and we're not really going to see where that is till probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So just lay off the people who are supposedly telling you what's going to happen now. There's a good chance they don't know. So let's wait and see. So, yes, the Ukraine story is set for today, and this is a hopeful, encouraging story in the midst of bad times. And a creative woman who I've had the privilege of knowing and doing a bit of mentoring with has developed what is called the 7-Foot English Club. The 7-Foot English Club. What in the world could that be? Well, you learn more here by accident than most places by design, and you're going to learn the 7-foot rule right today on this radio program, and it starts right now. Oftentimes the joke was, and they were kind of critiquing where we were at, when the Russian attack on Ukraine began, it was said most people have never heard of Ukraine. Well, that may have been true. And then the other statement was, well, they may have heard of Ukraine, but if they had to, if their life depended on locating it on a map, they might not make it. Well, I already knew that because back in my radio days with Trans World Radio, we were broadcasting worldwide in 14 different languages from the Caribbean spot where we were very much located. And because of the power of our transmitters and where they could go, we were broadcasting to many parts of Europe, Russia, we were broadcasting to India, obviously to all of Latin America and Central America, and we could be reached in many ways way up during the cold winter months. You could probably hear us way up into Canada, even on a regular AM radio station wave. About 1 million watts pouring out of that high-powered transmitter. So I was oftentimes involved in making sure that the program that we got, the program, it was produced in Ukraine, and then the tape, and this was before we had internet, of course, the actual tape was sent to us, and we put it on the studio transmitter, and up it went. And so I had obviously heard of Ukraine. Before that, part of the reason I got involved in international radio was I had been a student of Russian history. I'd taken a lot of classes in Russian history, tried to learn how to speak Russian, and part of the reason I kind of went from there was the idea that perhaps I would be involved in broadcasting, and this was before the Iron Curtain fell, when there was really the Soviet Union and communism, and such voices like Trans World Radio was broadcasting gospel and spiritual messages. Voice of America was trying to tell more and more the truth of what they viewed was from the American point of view. The BBC was hammering a bunch of their programs into Russia to try and, again, that was part of the propaganda of the Cold War. So that was where I learned about Ukraine. Skip way over to, maybe about 10 years ago, I was involved in putting together some of the first podcasts. Some of the first ones we were doing, and we were sending them out on the internet, just like we send this one. I got an email from a guy named Alec, and he was from Ukraine, and he was interested in what we were doing. And we started a great connection, a long connection. We tried to put some projects together. Some worked, some did not. But he became a good friend, along with his wife, Nadia, who a very talented woman. And she actually was designed. I talked to her, and I said, Nadia, who is doing your wonderful websites for this little project they had a couple businesses in Ukraine. They were entrepreneurs. And she wrote back to me and said, well, I do it. Well, they were so good. I was able to get her to do my website and actually got some business for her for doing others. Well, as things happened, life was going difficult, and so they attempted to make a move to the United States because they had family in California. And things were difficult. Remember, things have always been somewhat difficult in Ukraine, and war has been a part of their world. And this was long before the Russian invasion, at least the current Russian invasion. The Russians have invaded Ukraine a lot. That's why there's a problem there. But they were able to make it through all that goes into, and finally, Alec and Nadia are well established and in the California region and around Sacramento, I believe. Well, of course, when the Ukraine war, the Russian war broke out, I immediately contacted them. We hadn't been in touch for a while. And said, "What's up?" And they were saying, "We are doing everything we can to make sure our family is okay. We're going to do everything we can to try and see if we can get some of them to come. We'll try and sponsor people. And we're going to do everything we can for the Ukrainian refugees who are running and going all over the world." And by this time, both Alec and Nadia, though they spoke very good English, spoke Ukrainian, spoke Russian, English, and probably a couple others that I don't even know of. They're typical sophisticated Europeans in that sense. And they were doing just fine. And now this war breaks out, and they change gears. They continue to do everything they can to help the Ukrainians who are coming to the United States. Now, that's the deal. That's the story. Now, let me tell you, because I want you to know how this might work. Nadia, particularly, she's the creative one. Alex is a bit of a technical guy. He's very good at that, but she's an artist as well as a bit of a performer and designer. And I got a call from Alec the other day, and he said, "Can you help us?" And I said, "I probably can try, but let me know." Well, we're trying. And I'll finish up today by telling you a little bit of that story and the wonderful 7-foot rule that Nadia taught me. The 7-foot rule. And it might be a good rule for you too. I'm Stan Hughes, and the program is Interesting Ideas. It's Thursday, you're tired and you're busy, but just listen for about 5 more minutes. It'll be well worthwhile. Well, what Alex said to me was, Nadia is going to run what she calls an English language club, and what she's trying to do is get a group of the refugee people who know some English, and then people like me and others, American volunteers, who they'll come together in Zoom conferences, and together we'll try and help them improve their English. At the same time, perhaps give them some counsel on different job skills or career skills or things that will help them be successful here in America as they try and integrate, both in terms of understanding the language and understanding the American ways and finding a place and space to fit. And so we had, she said, the 7-foot club. And I couldn't figure out what she meant by that. And then, here's what it is. Nadia says, sailors have a saying, 7 feet under the keel. 7 feet under the keel. When they wish each other successful and safe sailing, meaning that there should be no less than 7 feet of water between their vessels and the bottom of the sea, for them not to run aground. That's right. And that's where the ship dies. The 7-foot rule. And then, in a cute and rather clever metaphor, she says, 7-foot successful life navigation includes 7 components, ensuring safe and enjoyable life sailing. This is genius. And now, here's the things we're going to help them with. Number 1, motivation. You know, they're discouraged. They feel, what are we going to do now? They're struggling in the language. How do we help them stay motivated? Number 2, everybody has something that they can offer. So number 2 is develop a personal persona, a personal brand. Number 3, what education do you need now, and let's find a way to get the education. Not necessarily just a college or degreed education, but the kind of life and business skills education. Number 4, let's help people at least have some material well-being as best we can. They don't need much, but they do have to eat, find a place to live, and find a way to have at least a degree of material well-being. Then number 5, obviously you've got to be able to communicate. So communication. Help them with their communication. Number 6, make sure that we're trying to help them because of all the things they've gone through. Health. How we can keep them, help them be healthy. And then, of course, and we learned the power of this in this stupid COVID lockdown, keep people connected in community. Keep them connected to others. A church, a club, a fellowship, a family grouping, a certain ethnic society, a certain Ukrainian-style friendship community. And that's the 7-Foot Club. And I thought, what a wonderful idea to adopt that for all of our work. Motivation, branding, education, material well-being, communication, health, and community. And brilliant work, Nadia. I'm proud of you. Well, I just wanted to share that with you. You see, and she's using the internet to make this happen, putting together Zoom programs, and obviously I'm going to try and help her do a podcast too. But the 7-foot rule, try to make sure you don't run aground. Find the 7 things you need to keep from landing up aground, or even worse, on the rocks. Hey, that's it. Stan Houston for interesting ideas, and I hope this has been helpful to you. And reach out to me at stanhouston@gmail.com, stanhouston@gmail.com. And if you'd like to know more about Nadia's 7-Foot Club, because she would love to have volunteers, and if you know of some Ukrainian people who are coming to America, and make sure that perhaps we could be in contact with them and recommend them to this little wonderful fellowship group that's being put together. The 7-footers. That's right, 7 feet tall. I'm Stan Houston. stanhouston@gmail.com, stanhouston@gmail.com. Best and blessings. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow. Prepare for a good weekend. Make it good for you and your family. No matter what the world brings or does, by God's grace, you can make it good for you. Till then, or next time, bye for now.